As someone who's battled with depression, anxiety, depersonalization, panic, hospitalization, psych meds, and a ton of weird mental health stuff, I am going to attempt to let you guys know who I view as having the gold standard for mental stability. Welcome to my YouTube channel, guys. My name is Noah, and we are going to answer a question from one of my dedicated and awesome Patreon supporters, Joe. Joe, thank you so much for these questions. I'll go ahead and read it, and I'll read them in their entirety right now. So Joe says, Noah, is there anyone real, fictional, or who you know personally that you view as having a gold standard for mental stability? And is there someone whose perspective you aspire to have? So I am going to name off two people. One, I view Douglas Block, who I featured on the channel, who I just can't say enough good things about, as having the gold standard for mental stability in reference to those of us who acutely struggle with and chronically struggle with as well mental health problems. So, you know, I imagine if someone had never gone through depression and anxiety and had been relatively fortunate in that realm, would have a different person that they might look to, male, female, old, young, from whatever background. I think it's just all relative to what you've experienced. And so for me, because I've had to learn to deal with pure OCD and panic and depression and all the things I mentioned earlier, my model has always been Doug, because Doug is one of those guys that reminds me that you have to be vigilant in your mental health. And I look to him and I see him as a gold standard because he's not perfect. And his mental health isn't always perfect. But his dogs, oi, I'm filming a video. But his dedication to the lifestyle required and the day-to-day grind and the self-care and the working with others and to just being mindful of your own personal needs year in, year out, whether or not he's feeling good or bad, is so impressive to me. And it's something I try to model myself after. And that's why I always bring up in my videos, well, not always bring it up, but I've certainly brought it up in the past, that if you struggle, you need a model. It just needs to be someone that you can look up to and whose path you can follow. Not necessarily to a T, because we're all different, but as a general guideline. Trying to sort these things out by yourself is problematic, and it usually doesn't work. And the more I rely on my own self to deal and figure, the worse I tend to do. So Doug is my gold standard because, as I said, I just feel like he's really sorted out how to live with these things. And I know a lot of us want, and sometimes do experience, but we want to think that when our depression's over, let's say, or when we overcome a bout of bad anxiety or whatever, that we're going to be normal or it's going to be gone forever. And that's not always the case. And I always suggest that most people gear their lifestyle around self-care, around physical care, around mental emotional support, around spiritual connection, just around their mental wellness, so that they can buffer and bolster themselves defensively from another bout they can more likely overcome. But I think Doug is great. And if you want to learn more about Doug, I'll leave a link in the description. I've been pimping him out on my channel for a long time, and I'll continue doing it. He's got something special to offer, and he's suffered so tremendously, so he's one of those people that if you've struggled, he's an easy model. He's got a lot of good information, healingfromdepression.com. It's a great website. Now, when it comes to if there's someone whose perspective I would aspire to have, it would be my grandma. We call her Mima, and she's been visiting this holiday season from San Diego. She's 87 years old, and her perspective on hardships and life difficulties and circumstantial things that we can't control, aka her perspective on life happening on life's terms, is pretty incredible. And I'll give you a quick example before I let you guys go from this video. But my grandma has a certain number of physical difficulties at this point in her life. She's 87. Right now she's dealing with an issue with her, I believe, her left eye, and she has to have surgery on it. But basically she's dealing with partial blindness and like swelling, and some fluid is leaking into the retina of her eye. I can't explain it all. Sounds foolish if I try, but she's dealing with an eye issue. Just hearing her talk about her eye issue and seeing her and seeing how she's struggling to see, you see like the cloudiness over it, it gives me anxiety, because I imagine it'd be so scary. And you know, when you ask my grandma about anything like that, no matter what she's going through, she always brings up the, oh, I'll be okay, it's just a lesson for me to learn. What can I do? You know, she just has this whole thing, like she accepts the things she can't change. She has the courage to definitely affect change where she can, and she truly has that wisdom to know the difference. That 12-step saying in proverb is so true, and she lives by it. She just goes with the flow, and she's so peaceful and accepting. She talks about even, you know, the of course imminent guarantee that she will pass away and I will pass away and we'll all pass away. But when she brings about it, she doesn't sound afraid. She just believes that when it's time, and she's thankful for the time she has, and it's just part of life. So she just has this acceptance of things that I feel like so many of us, and I'm really speaking to myself, we fight. I just fight things, you know, I fight them and I get scared and I try to control them and I obsess over them and I worry so much. And if I could just accept it and let it go, understand what I can and can't control, and made peace with it and worked on that, how much more peace of mind I would have. And so it's something I've certainly improved upon, but I'm nowhere near the level of wisdom, acceptance, and peace of mind that my grandma has over anything. She's so at peace, and I really admire that perspective, and I think it'll take quite some time to get even close to it. But it's worth a try. She's had a few more years of practice. So, Joe, I hope that those questions were answered to your satisfaction. I hope they made sense, and I appreciate everyone's time. Please let me know in the comments below, what is your, who is someone real, fictional, whom you know personally that is your gold standard? Are you like me, and do you believe gold standards very much depend on your independent needs, experiences, situations, hardships, triumphs? Or are you one of those people that just kind of thinks that across the board, so-and-so could be a gold standard? Because like, I don't personally relate to like endlessly happy people. Like if I ever watch people on YouTube who I just think are obscenely happy all the time, I struggle to relate to them because I can be somber still, I can be down, I can be anxious, and that's why I always think it's important for me to express it here. So I probably wouldn't, not that I can't learn from them, but I probably wouldn't ever make them my gold standard, because that's not reality for me. So I want to connect with someone who shares my reality, finds strength and despite hardship, and works through it. Works through the things that struggle with them, as opposed to pretending they're not there, and or as opposed to having never gone through them. I need that catalyst to be there that connects us, and that's why my gold standard might look bad to someone else. Maybe someone sees Doug who struggled with these, you know, frequent, well not frequent, but consistent major depressive episodes throughout his life, as being like, oh, I would never want to be like that. Look at how he struggles. I'm like, no, look how he thrives in spite of his struggle. That's how I see it. That's how I hope to be seen one day, and that's what moves me. And then perspective, my grandma's like Buddha to me. So anyway, whose perspective do you guys aspire to have? I thank you so much for being a part of this channel. You guys absolutely just continue to make my life better, and that's no joke to me. It's the day after Christmas. I'm gonna see if I can get this up today. We'll see you guys in the next video. Adios. I think I'll make one more video before the New Year's over.